Hi! In previous video, we successfully created our first React application. We created some sample component which was able to create section planes around selected object. Now I would like to explore a new area of Web API. I would like to focus on markups, and we will mainly work with text markups. So let's start with running our application by npm run dev. And after successfully running, let's refresh the Trimble Connect. And after going to our extension, it should be here. So previously we were able to create that kind of an feature. And now it's time to add new component. But maybe before, let's now just change the name of that one. So let's go into the section planes creator. Let's look down below where we are creating that button, and let's specify some better naming, like create section planes, just like that. Okay, maybe a little too long, but we will deal with styling later. Now it's time to create a completely new component, because the inserting text markups will completely not be related to section planes. Those are two different areas of our extension. So let's propagate that difference, that boundary, also to the source code level. So now I will just create the file with the name. What we will be doing, we will be annotating with text markups. So maybe markup annotations, something like that, tsx, okay? And what we have to do, we have to export some function. The function which will render the HTML file for the React purpose, and also it will hold the state, the logic of what is going on about all of those markups. So let's start with the default exporting, just to ensure that that function will be available outside of that file. And yeah, for now, let's just return the simple button. Let's start exactly the same like previously. So I will borrow the code with the button. Here it is. And of course, now this button will have different name. So maybe annotate selected. And let's change the name of this handler, trigger annotation, text annotation. Okay, and let's create async function which will have this trigger text annotate without params at the very beginning, and voila, the file is saved. Markup annotations is there. Of course, we don't see it currently in the UI, so let's add it at the top level. Let's go into our app tsx, and here is our component. I will just drop collapse that side, and here I will add a new markup annotations and save. Here it is. Okay, so we have a new button, and of course currently it is doing nothing. So yeah, maybe let's just decrease a little number of things which are displayed. As I said, we will deal with styling a little later. And okay, let's also remove those spinning circles. Okay, now that's all. So we want to add some logic to this annotate selected, and what I want to do. So let's just resize the Trimble Connect just to show you what that extension has to do. So in Trimble Connect, there is this feature where you can add annotations like the cloud line text, or yeah, some fancy handwritten lines. I want to work with text markups. So I want to do something like that, that around the selected object, there will be placed some text specifying that this is profile W something, 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 something. And of course, this something, 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 it should be connected to the properties of that object. So that extension, it should read one of those properties. I don't know exactly which one, but we will see during the development that it will read, for example, this product object type, and it will display value related to that property set, and that's all. it will be displayed in the middle of bounding box because it is the easiest way how I can get that logic be ready. So for example, for that one, we will display different. Okay, so here we have this project object type in a much less convenient way, but okay, let's maybe there will be some other property. Maybe the user can change what they want to see. Just the purpose that I want to create that kind of annotations automatically for the selection, so that the user will not have to read, print, and do all of that stuff manually. And I hope that it can be done with the API of Trimble Connect. So let's try. And as you saw, I will probably start with the selection. So as previously for the clip planes, I need to get the selection from the API, and then for every selected member, perform some set of operations like querying the property and then creating the text markup in the middle of bounding box. Something like that. I think that it should work. So the question is, should we just copy paste the same stuff which we had for the text markups and it will work? Or maybe we should think a little about the way how we are connecting with the Workspace API. Because let's just display that previous component. It was here. So at the very beginning of that component, with every clicking by the user, this button create section planes, we were connecting to the API. And here, as you remember, we could also specify some timeout. We could also listen to some events and respond to them. So a lot of things could be done on the component level. But is it truly the component level operation, this connection with the API? So we can think about that in a different way, that we have one extension and one Workspace API. So the direction between them, the link between them should be established only once, not per every click, not in every component, because it could result in a lot of different connections. And I think that it will not make any problems with any problems with performance, but it will be quite hard to manage it, to, for example, change some timeouts or take actions. Okay, so where we should try to listen to that events. So my proposition is to, before we will jump deeply into the new feature, those markup annotations, let's try to extract something which is common for all of those components. All of them will interact with the Trimble API, and we need that piece of code everywhere, because our every component will work on data table, viewer, or different functions which are provided by this API object. So my suggestion is to do something surgery. So let's just cut it from here. Yeah, it can be painful because now we are getting a lot of errors, and try to inject that API, that object from the very beginning of the function. So now I will try to provide this API into our function. So here, and let's do that like in such a way that I will provide that API is the connect, and here I see that I have some problem because it should be the Workspace API. It should be this one. Okay, and now it looks good, but of course, where is it coming from? Because now we started demanding that every invoking of that function, it should be connected with providing that object. And of course, here we are not doing that. And the TypeScript is saying that, hey, something is missing. The Workspace API is not here. So we have to fix that. And of course, how we can fix that? Let's just now paste it here. And we have some other problems, but let's wait for that. And now we should try to create, just provide API. What was the name of that? it was just the API, but this is the property, so probably I will not be able to do that. But okay, too many things just in one side. Okay, so that thing is the property which will be injected by React. So let's do some stuff around that property, something like that. If you will look a little deeper into the React documentation, then you will have the possibility to read about the properties. For now, just know about this syntax. And here we are not getting error on that side because it is like the property should be passed from parent component to the child component, but we have the error here. And this is connected to two different things. So at first, here we don't have the function connect. We have it as in that namespace. Okay, one problem less. But then we have the problem about the await keyword, because our function, this function, it is synchronous. It is not asynchronous. So there is no async in the declaration of the function. And what is the problem? That this is the main component for our application, and it can't be asynchronous. We need to establish this connection with the API in a little different way, and it will look a little hacky at the beginning, but this is the way how you can establish that kind of a connection with an external database or external data source. So in React, there are different type of hooks, and we were using one of them with this use state. So use state is the most commonly used hook in the React. If you will go deep for the documentation of the React, then you will see that there is use state, use effect, use memo, and something more probably. But here we need one use effect, because it will be triggered only once, and inside of that we can do something asynchronous. So maybe it will look like some kind of a magic, but we need to do that. So I will go to the use effect, and now I need to provide that there are no input parameters, and now I'm creating just some lambda expression. So inside of that I have to provide the internal function, the asynchronous function. So I will just use async function, and let's name it like with connect with TC API. Here we don't have any parameters, but we will return. No, here we will not return. So inside of that, I can connect to the API. So here I will get that object. But of course, this function currently is not invoked anywhere, and I have to do that somewhere. So I will try to do that just after the declaration of that function, but inside of the use effect. Here it is. Okay, so here this connection with the API will be set, but it will be assigned only to this variable. It will be not available outside of this function. I need to somehow preserve it, to use the state of it. So now I will just move that one and create the new variable like WS from Workspace API, or maybe TC API. Let's stick with that naming. And the typical way how in React those things should be set up is that function, it should be like set exactly the same. This is the convention, and it would be nice to provide, okay, so what is the type of that state? So what kind of an object we want to preserve here? And here we want to preserve the Workspace API. So this one. But should it be connect what I was importing here before? No. Okay. I was importing it like that. Okay. So just let's go a little outside. Okay. So now we have that function use state, but it is not invoked anywhere. And also TypeScript is saying that, hey, this is not read anywhere. So let's do this setting inside of our asynchronous function, and I will just set the value of API like that. And now, after one more thing related to the use effect, I will ensure that the connection with the Workspace API is done only once when our extension is loaded properly in the in this iframe of Trimble Connect Web 2 viewer. And to do it only once, there is one more thing to be done. So this use effect, it can be also related to some other variable. So we could, in some cases, trigger it more than once, but we don't want that. We want to do this only once. And now one more thing, because here we are setting this connection with the Trimble Connect API, but we are not using it anywhere because it should be used here. So after that kind of a setup, I see that there is also the problem that it could be undefined, and yeah, in some edge cases it could be undefined, and it is coming because here we are not providing any implementation of that. So I will just enforce the TypeScript that it will be always that kind of an object, because yeah, I'm taking it on my shoulders. So now after saving, you see that on the web browser we see our previous UI and what really has changed. So now we are establishing this connection with the Trimble Connect API only once at the root of our application in the app component, and then we are passing this connection to the child components by the property. And yeah, let's just try to find, okay, it is still working. I just wanted to see that we have not destroyed what we previously have achieved. So maybe it was a little too overwhelming, but I strongly suggest to make it only in one place. Of course, you could copy paste the same component template and reuse that connection multiple times. But better do it once in one place, and you will get you will know where exactly it is. So based on that, I can now pass this API object to the markup annotations, because we will need that in our annotations. So yeah, unfortunately there are no fixes for that, but we can just copy those properties from one function to the next function. And now after saving all of that stuff, we are missing one of import. Okay, and now it should work. Let's just close the others and focus mainly on those markup annotations. So here under the button, we don't have any effect. So we need to at first get the current selection from the Trimble Connect API. And I will do that exactly the same like previously. So let's assign them to some variable like the selection. And let's go with the await API. And here what we have, we should use the viewer. And there is the get selection. Here it is. And as previously, this get selection is returning us the selection, which is the array of model object IDs. So here we will get identifiers of selected objects from different models. And yeah, as previously, I will only think about one model at the time. If you are working with multiple models in Trimble Connect inside of one project, then you should tweak that into your needs. But okay, for me, I will just add some very quick check that if it is equal to 0, then just return, then nothing was selected, and then let's work only on selection from one model, from single model, and it will be the first model. So first selection, and here we will get the model ID and also the object IDs. But yeah, probably you don't trust me fully, so let's just do the typical JavaScript stuff. Let's just print it in the console. And now after selecting two different things, quite interesting that if I will select, I can select. If I will select the text, is it returned or not? But okay, maybe in other time I will check it. But for the proper model objects, I'm getting the array of two selected objects. Okay, so well, now we will get the selection and what we want to achieve. We want to get one of their properties. And later we want to display it as a text markup. So we have the selected object. We don't know at that point where the markup should be placed because we are not getting the bounding box, we are not calculating the midpoint. So this is those are the pieces which are missing. And the third thing is the property value. So currently we are not able to get the product type, the material, or whatever we need. So we need two more things, the center and the property value. And let's start with something which is simpler. Let's start with just the center of bounding box, because previously we were able to get the bounding box. So, okay. And what do we have here? We have the object of selection. And here we can find the model ID and also object runtime IDs. And we need those two properties to get the bounding boxes. Like previously, we were able to do that. So B boxes. And what is the schema API viewer? And probably something like bounding. Yeah, get object bounding boxes. And what do we need here? The model ID, which is available here. And also the object runtime IDs. It is here. And as previously, there is the complaint that, yeah, it can be undefined because it was marked with the question mark. So let's add this quick check. If those object runtime IDs, if they are undefined, then let's just skip because, yeah, we have encountered some edge case in the API. So now let's just display those bounding boxes and let's try our button. So after that, we are getting those bounding boxes. Nice. But of course, here we are not interested in the bounding box itself. We are interested in the center point, in the midpoint. Maybe it will be the better name because, yeah. So we need to calculate based on the bounding box, the midpoint. So we want to extend the type, and of course it can be done in a much better way, but here we just will write a single function which will get the summary of minimum point, maximum point, and let's just divide it by 2 and that's all. Hard math will be done. So get midpoint. And what is the input? This is the bounding box. So B box, and this is the box 3. Okay, and what we will return in the Workspace API, the point is hidden inside of the vector 3 type. So I will do that in that way. And what is the logic? Let's just calculate x, y, and z. And x is something plus something divided by 2. So we need the minimum and also the maximum. And yeah, for the x, that's all. Let's do the same with the 2 next directions. Of course, let's try to not make any mistake and then return the object, which is just like that. I hope that, yeah, that looks like the definition of the midpoint of bounding box. So now we will be able to get this midpoint. Nice, but we are missing the value of the property. We have not touched that property name, so this thing is quite blurry. So maybe before we will try to refine it a little, let's at the beginning try to insert some markup. So okay, so the question is how to create a markup. What is the markup? That point, the text markup, and how in the API we can get it. So okay, let's try markups, and I will just get the API. And here it is not inside of the viewer, but it is inside of the markup. And there are angle, arrow, cloud, free line, quite a lot of them. But we need this text markup. Get text markups. And there are no any input arguments. So I will now just display them in the console just to see, okay, so what is the structure of that object? And let's trigger our function and let's see that those markups are okay, so they have some color, with the RGB and also the transparency. What do we have more? We have some points, the start point and the end point. Yeah, because there is the arrow. We have the ID, but it can be skipped because it will be assigned by the API during the insertion. And also we have the text. Okay. I think that we should be able to create that kind of an object. Let's try. So now I want to create markup for every what is inserted. And those B boxes, this is the array. So let's do it. Here we have the await, and probably mapping of the awaits, it will not work well. So let's go with the old for loop. It can be a little overwhelming, but okay, let's do it like that. Let's just provide little shorter names. It will be the B box. Okay, so now we are getting the bounding box, and let's get the midpoint. Do we need it still? Yeah, because it will be related to the runtime ID, because this B box, it has the bounding box itself, so the geometry, but also the ID of the element, which will be needed for getting the property. So let's work with that level. And what I would like to do now, I would like just to calculate those midpoints, because it was written but not checked. So midpoint, and I will just invoke get midpoint for the bounding box. Okay, it should be like that. Let's just display it in console. So now I am just trying to check that I will get two different midpoints, because I have selected two different object elements, and it worked like that. So okay, we have the midpoint, nice. But then let's try to insert the markup. So let's define a markup object, and it will be of the type text markup. Here it is. And what I have to provide here. Okay, let's find out the text. Okay, yeah, quite obvious. So let's start with something like just test. And what's next? Some starting point. Okay, start. This is the markup pick. What is kind of an object markup pick? Whoa, a lot of properties. Okay, we have the position X, Y, and Z naturally, and then model ID. Okay, we are working one model. Okay, the object ID. If we want to have this markup as a related to something, the pick type, what we can do here, the point, line segment, plane. Okay, so there are different kind of markups. And yeah, those are not needed for us because we want just a single text, which will be annotated in point. So I will provide those three ones. And that's all, because they are the only one which are needed. They don't have the question mark. So let's provide here the start. Like position X, it should be our midpoint X. Position Y, it should be our midpoint Y, and position Z, the same goes here. Okay, we have it, but something still is missing. What is missing more? The end. One more property is missing. So okay, end. And yeah, I will not try to figure out where that letter line should be aligned. Just let's reuse the same properties. Like for this start, I just want to try to insert that markup, just like that. So here we were getting those markups, but now let's invoke different method from the API, like API markup, and maybe not get, but add text markup. And what is here? Okay, so here we should provide the array of markups, because yeah, probably inserting them one by one, it will be not as efficient as inserting them by ones, and probably then the Web3D viewer is refreshing it for every markup, not by one. So let's modify a little our approach. I will get it here because I want still to add those text markups, but I will not do that inside of this for loop. So this for loop, its main Goal will be to create those objects, those text markups, gather them in one array, and then API, hey, you have the array of text markups, let's go. So let's do this in such a way. Of course, it sounds like it should be extracted to some separate function because it sounds like an enclosed and encapsulated functionality. But okay, markups, and I will specify that this is the array of text markups. Okay, and at the very beginning it is the empty, and after creating of that markup, I will just push it to this array. Okay, and I am doing that just that at the end I will add them like that. Let's save and try only for one element. Annotate selected, and nothing happened. Something is wrong. Why? I don't know. Let's try to display those markups. Do we have here something? Okay, we are having something with end, start, text, and yeah, that's all what we are setting. So probably some more property is needed, but which one? Not sure. Or maybe. Do you remember when we were creating the section planes? Yep, here it is. Okay, probably once more again, the text markup, those positions. Let's check it out. Probably it is in millimeters, and the bounding box are returned in meters. So yeah, we need to convert our units, and it will be a painful because yeah, I used the lazy mode. So here I just copied those objects. So maybe let's do it in a little better fashion. So let's here provide what is the type markup pick. I just wanted to make it in one place, not to, you know, multiply by 1000 in two different places and say that, hey, it should be like that. So now I will just go like that, and here I will multiply. Of course, we could create some function for this unit transformation, but yeah, for now, that's all what I wanted to do. And let's check, select something different, and yeah. This text is placed in the middle of selected object. Okay, not bad, I would say. But the question is how the tool should behave when I am spamming annotation multiple times, because now a lot of different markups is created at once. So maybe we should, at the very beginning, remove all of them, like we were doing with the section planes. Or maybe we should just remove those which are coming from our tool. So let's try the second approach, because then we will learn something new. So this add text markup, it is returning the created text markups. And yeah, it could be confusing that we are providing some text markups and we are getting in return some text markups. But probably after invoking that function, those text markups will be annotated with the identifier, which we can use later for the removing of what we previously have inserted. So let's try to get those identifiers, store them in our component, and later remove them at the beginning of the next invocation by the user. So okay, markup IDs, I will name this like that, and of course here I am getting the text markups, and that's a big object with all of those text placement. This is definitely too much, I don't need them. So I will map those results, but probably it should be wrapped with some parentheses. I will map it just to identifier, that's all. Okay, so here I will get the markup IDs, yeah, or or numbers. So I will just here, I pretty sure that the API will return those IDs. So I will do some casting just to decrease the TypeScript noise about it could be undefined. So okay, here I am getting the identifiers of numbers, and the question is what I should do with them. So I want to preserve them. To preserve them between the triggering of this function, between changing in UI. So I want to use some React features for preserving the state. And as we have done it before for the app TSX, we were using use effect, which is this kind of a hook which is triggered only once. And here we will use a different kind of an hook. So it will be not use effect because this triggering text annotation can happen multiple times. So we could use state, which is in most typical in most tutorials of the React. But the use state is, for example, used here. It is heavily used, and it is rewarding for the scenarios when the change of the value of variable, it is connected with a re-render. So when the HTML is once more time rendered and the React is doing its magic with those virtual DOMs. But here we just want to pass some internal state of our function. So use state is a little too much. So I suggest to use a different hook, and it will be use ref probably. As I get, it is use ref. So let's just get a quick recap. Use ref React, because I'm not sure about one thing. Oh, just like that. Okay, not so complicated. But the setting, it probably a little more. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I will use the state and not ref, but previous IDs. And it will be the type of number, and I will initialize it with the empty array. Of course, this name is not it cannot be found. Okay, so now I have it, but of course it is not used anywhere, and it is not used, but okay, one thing is wrong. I have specified the type on the wrong side of that. Sorry, it is my mistake. Okay, so now it is not complaining about these nuance related to the types where it should be specified on the left or on the right side. Okay, so it is just a placeholder. We need to set up it somewhere. So here we are getting those markups IDs, and let's just pass them to that state. So based on the documentation on the left side, I need to specify current and say that it should be done like that. And I will just remove that one. And why I'm doing that? Why is it important? Because I wanted to achieve that effect when at the very beginning of inserting, the previous text will be removed, just like that. So let's start at the very beginning, somewhere here. Let's try to await for the action API markup, delete, remove markups. Okay, and what we are providing here, the identifiers. Okay, quite straightforward. Sorry. So let's get those previous IDs and current, and it should be all, I think. But okay. One more thing, probably after removing, it would be quite nice just to clear it, because well, maybe not. Yeah, let's try. Those two texts were created before that change, so now I just remove it and annotate selected that one, and now the previous one should be deleted, but it is not deleted, so something is wrong on that side. Yeah. Question is why. So let's do some very quick debugging and console log previous IDs current. Let's see if this state is preserved. Let's look into the console, and it looks like it is. So, oh, now it is working. Why have I not saved it previously? Strange. Let's try once more time. Here it is, and now it is removed before. Okay, this console log is not needed, so let's now try. I'm not sure why, because I thought that I saved it, but not really. Okay, let's do some other tests. Yeah, now different type of objects. Okay, it should work. But of course, we are displaying the test. The value of this text markup is a dummy one. So we need some real value. And the question is how we can get that. And for that purpose, let's not add more stuff on that function, but let's create a new function, okay? Because there is quite a lot of things going inside of that one. And definitely it should be split into smaller parts, but for now, let's focus mainly on the text. So what do we need? We need some function, and it will be the async function because it will operate on the API of Trimble Connect. And let's name it like get property value, because it will be exactly what it is doing. And here we will return a string. Definitely at the very beginning we just will return test. And there is one thing. Okay, it should be marked with the promise, because this is the asynchronous thing, not a deal. And that function, this get property value, it operates on something. So here it needs to, we have to specify some arguments. And what are the variables which should be provided at the very beginning? So we need some model ID, runtime ID, and probably some property name, because as we saw previously, those objects can have multiple properties, a lot of them. So let's stick with 3 arguments at the very beginning. So we need the model ID, we need the object ID, it is the number, and we also need some property name, something like that. Okay, so we need 3 different arguments. And why do we need them? Because now I will be asking Trimble Connect its viewer part for the object properties. So let's get object properties. Here it is. And what is needed here? We need to provide the model ID, the runtime IDs, and that's all. Okay, so the model ID, it is passed by as an argument, and here we need some object runtime IDs. We will work only on one object per operation. Maybe it could be done in a different way, that we will operate on a bunch of them, but for now, just one at a time. So here we will get the properties, and let's go with those properties. And let's just log them in the console. Okay. And of course, that function is currently not invoked anywhere. So we need the invocation, and probably it will be used somewhere here. So here I will just provide a new variable like the property value, maybe just value. And what do we need to provide? We need to provide the model ID. So it was the first selection, model ID, and the object ID, and it is hidden probably in that object. Here it is, and the property name, and I'm not sure what exactly will be this property name, so let's just property name. Okay, and that value will be used later in the text markup. Okay, we have some problem because that function was asynchronous, because we here inside we are using the await keyword, so we need to await for the completion of that function here. Okay, mainly I am invoking that to write down the properties of that object. So let's select something, invoke the function, and here those are the properties, and there is quite a lot of them, and the construction of that object is, we have to deal with that. Okay, so those properties are split into 2 different categories. So we have something which is named the product, and it can be found mainly in this area, but I think that not all of them are listed, like this application version. Probably it is not needed. So some of them are listed in the product, and some of them are listed in the properties. And those properties, I think that we should look a little more into that. So those properties are named like the property sets. And what are those property sets? So the property set is the group of properties coming from the same group, from the same origin, but not from Revit or Tekla, but inside of them they are grouped in some logical set of different values. So here we have, for example, the property set named like extrusion, and probably it is related to the geometry. So here we have the properties inside of the set. So those origins, extrusion, blah, 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 all of them, it is here. So navigation through those properties, it has to be done on two different levels. So at first, we have to get those extrusions, so those property set names, and later drop one level lower to those properties. So that is the point when I think that function, it should operate not only on a property name, because it is not enough. The property name could be used in different places, but also on the property set name. So let's use the set string. Okay, so we need those two different things. And now, of course, we have changed the contract of that method, so here there's a problem. And okay, let's start with something solid. So let's work only on the maybe IFC material. So I will invoke that function with IFC material. This is the name of the set. And inside of that, I want to get the property of the name material. That is what I will want to get. So now I am asking the Trimble Connect, maybe not asking Trimble Connect, but I'm asking myself when I am invoking that method that, hey, I need to work on the IFC material and I want to get the material. And of course, now it's our work to get exactly that property if it exists. Of course, maybe it is not there. So let's use the, what do we have here? Those properties, there were, okay, it was the array, because this method can be invoked on multiple runtime IDs, but for our purpose, we are providing the array with only one object. So we don't need it as an array. So, but there is the question mark? No, it is always returned. Nice. Okay, so let's just provide different name for the first, for the first object inside of that. And here, what is the here? Here's the class, color, ID, position, properties. We need that one. So we just do a shortcut in such a way, and that object, it can be undefined with the API. So okay, let's do the quick checking that if those props are undefined, then let's just skip the next execution. And we have to provide something because this is the function with the return type. So let's just provide empty. Okay, no better idea at that point. And what do we have here? Property. Okay, let's just see what is here. Okay, here we have the set. So the name of the property sets, and also we have the properties. Okay, so we should try to find the same set as the provided one. So in this function attribute, we are specifying, okay, so where exactly we would like to find. So let's try to find the property which will have the property, sorry, why? I have skipped one more thing. So here, sorry, this is the place where it should be. I was working on the first element on that list. So now I want to find the property with the set, which will be equal to our provided set. Okay, property set. Let's name it like that. And let's try to display it. Yeah, okay. So now after invocation, I will get, I should get, whoa, I'm getting undefined. Once more, I'm getting the second time undefined. So here, that property set was not found. Why is that? Because we have checked before that it is there, because there is the property set IFC material. Whoa. You see the name of that property, it is named like name, and the API suggesting that it is named like set. Okay, so the API is misleading us in such a way, so we have to invoke the property which is not in this TypeScript documentation. And of course the TypeScript will complain that, hey, it is not here, so we have to provide something. This switching, and now we are just saying, hey TypeScript, I know that you always want what is the best for us, but here's just a little hack. Let's go with any object. So now, after trying that hack, I am getting that array. So this is exactly what I needed. So for different stuff, I am getting only that material if it exists. So for example, if something is structural, if something has the material, then it will be here. Okay, so the property set is here, but it could be undefined because maybe this object doesn't have that property set. But if it has, then we should also try to find out the property value, because the property set is just one level above. So let's do probably the same, and I will just name it like the property. So in all of those property sets, properties, let's try to find, okay, there's one error because probably it also could be undefined. Okay, so let's do it in such a way that we will skip the next execution in both conditions. And here we are trying to find the property which name, and the question is it if it will be really the name, and it will be, is equal to our specified value, which was the name property name. Okay, so here we will get the property, and the last thing, if this property is undefined, then we will just skip with empty string. But if not, then it's our great time, because we will be able to display the value of it. And there is of course one problem, because it could be the string or it could be the number. Okay, because if we would ask, for example, for the area or for length, then it will be a little different. So at that point, we should try to check if it is what exactly it is. So if it will be the number, then probably some rounding would be needed. But which one is it? If it will be the integer or double, or maybe date. And there is the property type, and we could use it in some case, because if we would write a set of functions to format differently different values, because for example the precision needed for the volume is less than, for example, for the area. So in the final product we could use those property types which are correlated with the properties to format our value according to our needs. But now I will just bypass it with just setting to string, and that's all. Sorry, this is the shortcut, but I feel that this material is too long at that point, so let's go in such a way. Let's try and select something and display it. Okay, probably all of those elements, they have the same material, so maybe this is not the best check. So now let's try to invoke something which probably will be different for all of them. Maybe this b set revit dimensions bf. Maybe they have different profile. And where it was here, and bf. Okay, let's now try to display it for that one, and for that beam. Okay, they have it differently, and you see that without the formatting, the double values will be quite ugly. So okay, that is the point which we should try to improve. But what is currently the biggest problem with that approach is this manual setting of the property, because yeah, I have done it in the code, and of course our users will not have the code for them. So it will be much better if we will provide them some opportunity to specify the property set name and the property value name, because then when they will have some input, it will be much easier. So instead of providing only the button, I will also provide some input, which will be the type of text. And here it is, a little ugly, but okay. For that point, it should be fine. And of course, we need to provide some value and also to respond on the user actions. And that is quite typical way for the use state. So maybe let's try React use state input text. There will be quite a lot of different materials. Of course, we could ask ChatGPT on how it could be done, but probably the best, the topmost answer from Stack Overflow will be enough for us. And here I see that it is something which we need. So let's grab that value and adjust it to our needs, because yeah, we don't have the value. So let's name that variable like the property name, and set property name. And of course we need to provide a new state. So now I'm just saying that that input, it should present render value like that, and after every change just invoke that set property. So now at the beginning of that function I need to provide use state. So I will have the property name and set property name, and here I will use React state with the type of string. At the beginning it should be empty. So let's import it and let's find out if now it will, yeah, it is here. Of course, now let's try with something ttt, and the value is displayed. Nice. Okay. And why I have done that? Because now when the user will trigger this get property value, I can invoke that property name. So let's try to just see that it is working. So now I will just say TC is awesome, and let's annotate. And now I have sorry, why? Okay, we have the collision of naming. Sorry, this internal function property name is the same like here. So yeah, that's not the best idea. So where we are reflecting this get property name, it was done somewhere here. And here we have provided this split for the property set name and the property name. So now let's here do the property name. Let's provide one object, and of course it needs the change of that place, because now we need to split our single value, because what I want to do, maybe too much at one point. I want to provide here the concatenation of the property set name and the property value name. So where it was, I have C material. So I want, I will demand from the user that he will provide it in such a way on that stage. So I have C material, that material. So everything what is before on that is the property set name, and what is after is the property value name. So now I have to split what I am getting, this property name, to two different objects, and yeah, I will split it on such a way. Okay, and here I am getting the array, and yeah, it will be crazy because the user don't know about that convention, so don't do this on the production. But okay, let's just be as quick as possible and const property type. I am missing better naming here, but okay, let's do it in such a way. So now here I will do it in such a way. So the user is providing something which has the dot inside, and we are splitting on the dot, and we are taking the first part, and it will be the property set name, and we are taking the second part, which would be the property name. And now, after trying to annotate, I will get it like that. So probably something was broken before that. Okay. Now it is working, and let's try to insert some other, to annotate with some other. I'm just trying to see what I can use for that. What is here? Manufacturer, omni class, base floor, first floor, second floor. Oh, maybe just for checking. It would be nice to see some assembly positions, but it is not here. Maybe on the assembly level. I'm not sure how Revit is exporting the IFC. Column common, not really. Column location mark, it sounds like nice because it is related to the axis of the element. So let's use that one. So now as a user, I will provide here pset Revit constraints, and I will use the column location mark, and probably, we are not sure, it should be written without those spaces between. And now I am trying, but not really. I'm just placing the empty string. So definitely we are missing something here when we are getting the property value. So if it is empty, then probably we should not insert the text markup, because why? Or maybe you would like, because you would like to present, hey, this property is not there, so please provide some different. And yeah, it all depends on your idea. But here I will just provide it with spaces and it will work. So yeah, that is the common problem with the naming of the property sets. And we will try to address this problem in the next video, when we will not demand from our users to provide such a name by hand and try and guess, and maybe it will work or maybe not. We will try to create some combo box with a list of every property set which is available on that model. But yeah, now I see that 1 hour has passed, so let's finish at that point, and we will see in the next video. So thank you for today, and have a great